These are the values of a particular function f. And the first question is, what kind of function is this? And if you look first at the f of x values, it's pretty clearly not an add thing, because you'd have to add negative 1600 to get here, and if you add negative 1600, you're clearly not getting here. But if we take 400 and divide it by 2000, we get 1 over 5. If you multiply 2000 by 1/5, you get 400. Multiply that by 1/5, you get 80. Multiply that by 1/5, you get 16. So this side is multiply. This side is add. 4, 4, 4. So that tells us right away that this is going to be a exponential function, exactly. And that's what I was looking for you to write here. The first step in doing this is figuring out what the format of it all is going to be, and it's f of x is equal to ab to the x power. Everybody okay with that? Okay. So then we start to take some values. We take, if x is equal to 4, f of x is equal to 2000, and that can be written like that. And we take another value, let's say 16. Okay. ab to the 16th is equal to 16. And then we can divide those two equations and find out that 125 is equal to b to the negative 12th. What do you know about 125? It's what? It's 5 to the third power. Okay. Does that help us at all? A little bit. It means that b, if I take the 12th root of both sides, or the negative 12th root of both sides, I'll get b by itself, and I'll get 5 to the negative 1/4 power. Plug it back in. 2000 is equal to a times 5 to the negative 1/4 power raised to the 4th power, which means a over 5. Which means that a is equal to 10,000. That's all you had to do to get the equation. And then they wanted you to plug some, and then I tested it. Figured, let's plug in 16 and see what we get. That worked out okay. 10,000 over 5 to the 4th. And since I didn't have a calculator, I just divided by 5 one at a time, and found that 16 was equal to 16. So that worked, and that meant my equation was this. That's the equation. And then I plugged in 8 for x. Did a little bit of arithmetic with the exponent. And found out that f to the 8 is equal to 10,000 over 5 times 5, which turned out to be 400. And that allowed me to check the next problem. Thank you very much. The log problems, the log problem said take 9 to the x is equal to y and write it as a logarithm equation. And that means that you're asking, what exponent would you have to raise 9 to get y? And the answer is x, because 9 to the x is equal to y. The next question was, let x equal log base 5 of 13, and use the definition of logarithm to write this equation in exponential form. Basically, it was the reverse question of number 4. That's how to do that. Okay? If x is equal to log base 5 of 13, then x is the exponent that you need to use on 5 to get 13. Then take the natural logarithm of both sides. If we take the natural logarithm of both sides, we wind up with x times log of 5 is equal to log of 13. And then what does it say that we're trying to do? It says use the answer to write log base 5 of 13 in terms of natural logarithms. Is log base 5 of 13 anywhere here? X is log base 5 of 13. So if we want to write log base 5 of 13 in terms of natural logarithms, really all we have to do is divide both sides by the natural log of 5. There we go. The log of 28 minus the log of 2 plus the log of 3. If we're subtracting, we're dividing. So log of 28 minus log of 2 is the same as the log of 14. Plus the log of 3 means we're multiplying. So the log of 14 plus the log of 3 is equal to the log of 42. And then there is this story over here, the spreading the news problem. We got to school, today's test has been canceled. You start spreading the news. Okay, and here's the function. What kind of function is that?
Logistic.
It's a logistic function. Why is a logistic function appropriate here?
Because obviously there's a limit to the amount of students that can see the news.
Right. Ultimately, it's going to level off. You're going to have a hard time finding someone who hasn't heard yet if you want to be the one who tells the next person. So what kind of function is this? It's logistic. Okay. And according to the mathematical model, about how many students heard the news at time 0? How would you figure that out? Where does the time go?
X.
Right. X is the time. If we put 0 in there, that's e to the 0 power, and e to the 0 power is 1. So we're talking about 1,000 over 101. If I ask about how many students that would be, I'm kind of expecting an answer in whole numbers, because 9.9 students? I don't think so. 10 would be, it's about 10 students. And then according to the mathematical model, how many students were at school that day, assuming that every student eventually hears the news, and how can you tell? That number on the top, the 1,000, that's the maximum value. That's how high this function can go. And so there were 1,000 people in school that day. And those are the answers to that. The definition of logarithm. This is true if m to the p is equal to y. Okay. This is an exponent. A log is an exponent, which means this is going to be the exponent. M is the base, and y is what you get. And here are a few more of these questions. Log 2 plus log 4 means we're multiplying here. It's going to give you log of 8. Regardless of the base, log of 24 minus log of 8 gives you log of 3. If you have an exponent here, log of 7 to the 5th power, that's equal to 5 times the log of 7.